You are listening to the Night and Day podcast, featuring the interview archives of Western New York music writer Thom Jennings. Thom has interviewed some of the biggest names in music and entertainment, and now you can enjoy these never-before-heard interviews. Here's your host, Thom Jennings.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Night and Day. And I want to thank everybody for the listens and supporting this podcast. We put up an episode with drummer Carl Palmer recently. We got another drummer, unfortunately one that passed away recently. This is an interview that I did with drummer Alan White of Yes, and of course Alan also played with John Lennon on his Imagine record. And the sound quality on this particular recording is not the greatest, but if you're a fan of Yes and certainly a fan of Alan White, it's obviously an important historical piece. So hopefully you will enjoy that from that perspective. Again, it's fairly short as well. So with all of that being said, here is a broadcast for the first time in its entirety, an interview with the late drummer of Yes, Alan White.
Hello?
Yeah, hello. Is this Alan White?
Speaking.
Hey, Alan. This is Thom Jennings. I'm calling from the Rochester, New York area to preview an upcoming show. Quite an honor to speak with you.
Yeah, that's right. Niagara Falls, right?
Actually, no. You guys are in the. This is the Yestival tour. It's going to be in. I'm calling from the Niagara Falls area, but it's a show that's going to be at the Rochester Dome Arena.
Oh, at Rochester. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I understand that. Okay. I had another interview this morning. It was at Niagara Falls, but that's all. Sorry.
All right. Well, yeah. First question, if I could. I know you guys are kind of revisiting the early part of the catalog and everything like that. I guess I'll start with, what were the initial discussions like when you were coming up with this set list? I mean, it's really eclectic. It's a lot of deep cuts.
Yeah. Actually, most of the ideas came from Steve Howe on that one, because he's a believer in a lot of early Yes music. Yeah. And so we decided to do a cut from every album, from the inception, really, of the band, the 70s through to the 80s. And we did one cut off drum, which is a 80 album.
So, I mean, I assume you had to go back and listen to some of that stuff, even some of the stuff that predated you with Bill Bruford. Did you kind of hear anything, maybe either that you played on or that Bruford played on that was like, wow, this is really cool stuff, or what was that experience?
Yeah,
like?
There's one song in the set which I really haven't played. Well, I did it with the band years ago, but only like an acoustic kind of version of the song. But now we'll play the song version, which is actually very cool. It's quite complex to what you think it is when you first hear it. But that song was really an enjoyment to play. It's right up the beginning of the band. It's a song called Survival.
Now, did that predate Steve Howe as well? Was that when Peter Banks was with the band?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was predates that too. Yeah. But it's a very, very cool song. It's very nice.
And it's interesting. I love reading the story about how you were kind of thrust into the band back when Bruford took off to go play with King Crimson.
Yeah.
I mean, did you feel any pressure to? I mean, you really have your own style. I mean, you and Bruford do you're both great drummers, but you're very distinct in your approach to the music. Yeah. Did you feel any pressure when you took over for him?
No, well, a little bit. That's why I told the band when I joined the band. I said, "Well, see if I like it after 3 months, and see if you like it after 3 months." And I'm actually the only person in Yes. I've been there the full time for 45 years. So it's pretty amazing. career, considering. Yeah, there was a bunch of pressure around that. Luckily for me, prior to that, for a few years, I had my own band. We were living in the country, just writing music every day and playing every day, and we were into playing more complex odd time signature stuff. We played some Zappa and kind of things that were different like that. So I was kind of tuned into all those different time signatures and odd meters in the music. So I really was.
Hello?
Yeah, is that better?
Yeah, not sure what happened.
What?
Yeah, we just disappeared for some reason.
I don't know. Anyhow, I was known for playing with John Lennon and Joe Cocker, but prior to that, my history of playing more complex stuff with my own band, and we were playing a lot of Zappa type stuff and a little bit more fusion type stuff with jazz and stuff. So I was set up in a way to kind of step into that job. And I got into the band. The only problem I had is they asked me to join the band, and I said, yeah, sure, no problem. And I'll give you guys 3 months, and you give me 3 months to see if the whole thing works properly, so we're both happy. Luckily, but as they walked out the door with John Anderson and Chris Squire, and they said, oh, by the way, we've got a gig in 3 days, go learn the whole repertoire. And I went, oh, sure, guys. And he said, no, really, we're playing in Dallas on Monday, okay? You need to know everything. So really, I didn't have a rehearsal at all with the band, and just went on stage and played it.
Yeah, I've heard that story. It's just absolutely incredible. I mean, that must be, the John Lennon gig in Toronto's got to be one of your most, memorable gigs. But then that first Yes gig you must have just been running on adrenaline.
Well, kind of. It was heads down, see you after the show, basically, and I think the band was sweating bullets, and I was, but I think they were even sweating more than I was. So, there's 10,000 people out there want to hear Yes music. But luckily, the first gig went off really good, and the band came back. They said, wow, man, you pulled it off. Funnily enough, the second show, the third show, I made a couple of more mistakes and stuff like that. And then by the fourth show, I was tuned into everything.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's 45 years. I mean, you're the only guy that's managed to make it through every single, lineup change. And we lost Chris Squire, which is certainly must have been devastating to you.
Well, that was a big loss. I mean, I've been working consistently with Chris for 43 years, so that's a kind of big loss to a rhythm section that's being tied together for that long. We actually knew each other so well that we know what we were going to play before we take it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was an unwritten kind of law to us, but and he is sorely missed. Even though Billy Sherwood's a great substitute, and he was, Chris was his mentor, and he basically is, doing a great job on stage.
Yeah, I've seen you guys with Billy, and he's just an incredibly versatile player, and I've interviewed him. Seems like a really nice guy. I mean, I imagine right now, they always say that a lot of the battle of the band is getting along,
Yeah, he is, and it's pretty cool. And the only thing, he'll never be like Chris.
Right.
It's not the same thing, but it's as good as you'll get.
Looking back over your 45 years of Yes and all the lineup changes, I mean, aside from the present lineup, which I'm sure you're enjoying, I mean, what was the era that you felt like Yes was really, like you really were just having the best time with the band and everything seemed to be going the right way?
Repeat that. I didn't quite hear that one.
Just wondering when your favorite period of Yes was, like favorite lineup or favorite time, where Yes was really getting along and playing really well.
That's a difficult one, man. I mean, there's been so many eras of Yes music, and every album seems to bring its own era with it, and I don't know, but yeah, the 70s obviously was a great period for the band. Albums like Relay and TurboGrafx and Relay and all of that era. And then, of course, the 80s with Jeff Downes and Trevor Horn on the album Drama. And then after that, carrying the band forward with Trevor Evans, Chris Klein, myself, we formed a band called Cinema, and we were moving forward and playing some fantastic music. And then John Anderson heard it, and he wanted to sing on it. And when John sang on it, we just became Yes again.
Yeah, and I, if I remember correctly, before Cinema, weren't you supposed to be in a band with Jimmy Page and Robert Plant? And I mean, were there ever any sessions that came out of that?
Oh, yeah. We recorded for about a month at Jimmy Page's house, Chris and myself. And there's a bunch of material that we put down. In fact, the tapes are still around. And I did Jimmy Page. I live in Seattle. He came there. He was invited by Paul Allen. And I went through this benefit kind of thing for his museum. And I was with Jimmy, and Jimmy came over and said, let's dig up those tapes and remix them and re-release them and stuff like that. And I said, okay, just give me a call. I'll fly to England and we could finish them off. But, Jimmy's wrapped up in a bunch of stuff all the time. So he's such a great guy. I really love Jimmy Page. He's a really good friend of mine.
Well, good. Well, that's awesome to hear. Just a couple of quick questions because we're coming up on the 15-minute mark. But can you I'm sure you've talked about this a gazillion times before. That first phone call that you got from John Lennon to go play with his band. I mean, how crazy was that? I mean, did he literally call you on the phone and just ask you to join the band?
Well, I was doing gigs with my own band around London. Just, club gigs and stuff like that, and we were doing a bunch of great stuff, and the band was really good sound. They had a great singer, and we were doing great music, and I guess, from what I gather, he came into the place where I was playing one night, just briefly, but saw me playing with my band. And a couple of days later, I got a call from him, and I didn't know it was him. And I thought it was a friend messing around with me, and I put the phone down on him. And then he actually called back about 5 minutes later. He said, no, this is John Lennon. I thought he played the other night, and you're exactly what we need. And we've got a show to do in Canada. Tomorrow. And I said, he said, are you in? I said, of course. He said, I'll send a limo for you.
Wow.
And he at the airport, and we rehearsed on the airplane, and then we got there, went straight up on stage almost. I remember sitting down on a stool, and they built the drum kit around me, and then Joe went 1, 2, 3, 4, and that was it.
Wow. So you've had a couple occasions where you've just sort of been trial under fire, huh?
Yeah, jumped in the deep end, as I call it. I seem to do that all the time.
All right. Well, last question. You're out with Todd Rundgren. I'm a huge Todd Rundgren fan as well as a Yes fan, so I think it's a really great pairing. Have you had a chance to see Todd, interact with him, and what's your opinions on how the thing's going?
Yeah, I see him, every few days we cross paths, and I say hi to him and stuff like that. He's a really nice guy. He's great. He's a lot of fun. And then, obviously our show's later than theirs, and they come off and we go half an hour, but sometimes they've already taken off when we get there. So, but I've seen them a few times, and when we've gone to gigs earlier and stuff like that.
All right, well, great. Well, hey, Alan, thank you so much for all the years of great Yes music. Just absolutely love everything you've done, and you work with John Lennon and just so many great things. And I know we both miss Chris Squire, but I'm sure he's very happy that you're carrying on the legacy of this great band.
All right, thank you, man.
All right, we'll see you on the road.
All right, man.
Thanks, Alan. Bye-bye.
Thanks again for tuning in to the Night and Day podcast. This is your host, Thom Jennings. If this is something that you like, please leave us a review, share, do what you do when it comes to listening to podcasts. And I'll see you next time on the Night and Day podcast.